I arrived in Romania on January 1st. When we drove up to the border before the revolution, the first question asked was, do you have Bibles? Do you have guns or weapons, or do you have pornography? All three were considered to be very dangerous. If you had Bibles, you could be in trouble. Well, we pulled up to the border. The border guard came out, he asked us to get out of the van, and he said, are you a Christian? And I thought, oh no, here we go again. And I said, yes, I am a Christian. And he threw his arms open wide and said, welcome to Romania.
The revolution in Romania was one of the great miracles of the last century. In fact, I became involved in 1980 when I first went into Romania, and I went to the Emmanuel Baptist Church in Oradea, and I saw God at work in a way in which I had never seen in my life. The church was packed. People were everywhere. 1 hour before the service, there were people praying and seeking the face of God. You see, previous to that time in the 1970s, there was a pastor who began to teach the people to pray in an unusual way. Pastor Liviu taught the people to pray that one day they would be able to stand in the great stadiums of the nation and proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ, and in the newspapers and on radio and television to be able to share the good news of Jesus Christ. Well, they prayed, and the longer they prayed, the darker the days became and the more difficult it became. I remember preaching in that church in Oradea, and the place was packed. People were standing down the aisles. They were gathered around the outside in freezing cold temperatures. And I'll never forget, after the service was over, many people had given their hearts to Christ, and one of the leaders came to me and said, Brother Sammy, did the Lord work? Did the Lord work? And I said, why are you asking this? Why are you asking, did the Lord work? Didn't you see how many people came to Christ? Didn't you see how many people were here? And I'll never forget what he said. He said, oh, you don't understand. I was not in the auditorium. I was in another room with 100 men, and we were praying the whole time you were preaching. And there was another room with 100 women who were praying the whole time you were preaching. These people prayed. They sought the face of God, and things got worse. And then I received a phone call one day in 1989 after I had been blacklisted and told I would never be able to come back into the country, and they said to me, you will never set your feet on Romanian soil. But there was one thing they didn't know. God is on his throne. And I'll never forget, I walked back into Romania in 1989, and as you saw those pictures there at the border crossing, and at the very spot where they said you'll never be allowed back in, we gave glory and honor and praise to Jesus Christ. I went into Romania and I saw things that I never dreamed I would see. I saw God moving and working. People would run up to me and begin to yell, there is a God, there is a God, there is a God, and God is with us, God is with us. Right on the streets, not church people, but street people. For the first time in the history of Romania in May of 1990, I stood and preached the gospel of Jesus Christ in a public stadium. My interpreter turned to me and said, Sammy, do you realize what today is? I said, what is today? He said, today is the day that God has answered the prayers that our pastor taught us to pray, that one day we would stand in the great stadiums. And I went to stadiums all over Romania and preached the gospel and saw God work.
The stadium is packed. It's 15 minutes before time to start, and normally it's 30 minutes after the service starts before everyone's in. So I don't know where all the people are going to be. But I do believe this, that God is going to show us his glory tonight, and we're praying to that end. It's exciting to see what's happening.
My belief is that God is intervening in an unusual way in our history, in shaking the communism to the root
Amen.
Of their problems, and in displaying his glory. We need Sammy with his message to shake the hearts of the people in Iraq for the glory of God.
If I've learned anything, I've learned this one thing. God is on his throne. Power and authority are not in the great capitals of the world, but power and authority are at the throne of God. God is looking for a people who will pray, and we can change a nation.